I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. And the question for today is, tell me about a time when you had an underperforming employee work for you. What did you do? How did it turn out? Now, obviously, asked at a manager level or above. And the notion is that you want to see whether they worked well institutionally to accomplish a result. And as such, you're a hiring manager, you're an employer, and the first thing you do is, if your firm is large enough to have an HR organization, you want to confirm with them a process that you want to engage in, because you want to involve other constituencies and get their input. So, for example, someone I coached runs a particular type of sector in his business. And he had two people who were underperforming. Someone who was relatively new, someone who was a veteran individual and a high performer for a long time. Now, I believe that you deal with both of them differently. And let's start off with the relatively new person. You meet with them. You get clear about what the goals and expectations are. You put them on a leash, and you basically talk with them clearly about what you want to accomplish. Now, usually new employees get very defensive at being confronted. And I have to say confronted because that's how it feels to them. For you, it's, you want to get clear with them and confirm with your HR organization that, it's not that you're writing them up, but you're making it clear that you want to see certain types of results by a certain timeline, that they have to be compliant with policies and procedures. So, for example, if you run a sales organization and you expect that they're inputting data into your tracking stuff, then they have to be doing that continually. And what that does is it gives you concrete data. Don't go off your gut feelings. Wherever you can, try and work off the data, particularly with a newer person, because they're going to get all sorts of defensive, and you can basically point to them that the numbers and information that they've inputted is a problem. It's way insufficient. Now, if you think this employee is going to suddenly put in bogus stuff, you have a bigger problem on your hands. And one thing that you can do is, one of the things I'd like to do is to talk with a few of your customers that you call on and see what their feedback is, because it might be useful. If they suddenly go, no, don't do that, well, there's a message in that, and that they're more concerned about what the optics are than getting the result. So there's lots of stuff that goes on with the newer employee that I think is interesting. At the end of it, one thing, there are two outcomes. They either turn things around or they become successful. They turn things around or they're fired. And at the end of I'll call it probationary period, but of the time limit that you're giving them, ultimately you may have to make a cut. And they've been forewarned. They haven't delivered the result. It was a condition that you set. And as long as there's nothing like a hurricane that gets in the way, you're good to go. Now, here's the example for the very experienced person who's really been a high performer for a long time. It's to recognize that sometimes they get into slumps. Sometimes they develop bad habits. And the habits often don't have them calling on new clients. They don't have, they do things like, trying to cut deals. So they sell on the basis purely of price and offer up discounts galore. If they are in non-sales roles, they might just get fat, dumb, and happy and really stop thinking aggressively about their role and what's expected of them. So the first thing you want to do is sit down in a compassionate sort of way and say, hey, look, I'm seeing something very different about you. Anything going on in your personal life that I need to be aware of? Because sometimes people are going through rocky times with their wife, husband, or partner, or sometimes there's an ill parent. You want to understand what's going on for them. And then from there, work on, seeing where the habits are and whether they're doing the sorts of things that get the results that you're used to from them. What's different? What's going on? You'll have a certain amount of data because you're just seeing the results and outcomes, and that's what's prompting the meeting. But the idea is to show some things, and if it's a salesperson or someone in an internal role, consider sending them to a course to get them back up to speed. Think in terms of what you can always do to help them return to what the previous normalcy was, because in this way it sends a great signal to the rest of your organization. Sometimes they are troubled. There's just something bothering them, and sometimes they need a friend to talk to, and they don't feel comfortable talking to a peer, and it's got to be you. At the end of the day, most of the time when these folks are spoken with, they turn things around or they wind up changing roles. Either way is good for you because you get someone out of your organization who's a problem, or you get them to return to normalcy. When push comes to shove, with the veteran individual who's been a high performer for the longest time and is just in a slump, often just a friendly talking to where you show some care because they're waiting for it and they're hoping for it and they're wondering when it's going to come because you're afraid to approach them, and they're hoping that you approach them because it gives them a chance to get rid of some of the tension. So if asked about this, remember, you talk about the newer individual, you talk about the high-performing veteran individual, what you did in each case, and what the outcomes were. Hope you found this helpful. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching from me, email me at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. In the subject line, put the word coaching and give me a sense of what we'll be working on. And if we are connected on LinkedIn, send a connection request to me at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Hope you have a great day. Take care.